Hello and welcome again back to the Divine Stewardship Podcast. I'm Chris Stanton and I'm here with my lovely wife.
Corinne.
And today on episode 3, we're going to talk about, a continuation of last episode with the combining of finances. So after, essentially the next step in your financial journey is to, if you're with a spouse, okay, if you are married, what we would recommend the next step is to combine your finances. And what do we mean by that? Well, excuse me, before you were married, you had your own checking account and your partner had their own, his or her checking account. And your paycheck went into it, her paycheck went into it, or his paycheck went into it, and it was separate. Then you got married. And I would say 9 times out of 10, most couples don't do anything else after that. You become one in marriage, right? 2 now become 1. But rarely does anybody think about, oh, that should mean we become one in our finances. Because guess what? You can do that. Most people might find that like they didn't know that they can do that. No, you can. You can combine that.
We were one of those 9 out of 10 couples that did not immediately combine our finances.
Correct.
When we first got married.
Because again, I think we mentioned this even in our intro episode, where it's the norm, right? The idea of the larger income should take care of the larger expenses, and it would just come out of this account. And then the minor things or the other little incidental things will come out of this account. So, again, that's what the norm may seem to be, like the normal culture. But really, when you look at it, from a faith perspective or a faith-based lens, you're no longer 2 flesh, right? You're now 1 flesh. And everything, that means every aspect, you become one. And that includes finances. And that's something that's overstepped or overlooked.
And not always purposely, more just convenience. Like for us, I know it wasn't because I didn't want to combine the finances with you. It was more...
It's an extra hoop.
I have to now cancel this account. Yeah. I have to call HR. That's miserable all the time. I have to call HR to get them to redirect my direct deposit to another account. Like, I don't want to do that. Let's just, you do this, I'll do this, and we'll just go from there. And it was easy.
More of a convenience thing, for sure. And that's what honestly slows a lot of people down, because it is a little bit more work.
Yeah.
And you do have to deal with other people in order to get exactly what it is you want. So there is that aspect to it, but once you realize that it really isn't that big of a step, it's like an extra call or an email.
This is coming from someone who didn't get my license changed from my maiden name to my married name for...
How long did that take?
Because I had to go to the Social Security office in New York. Yeah. In Queens, nonetheless.
You had to actually go to the office?
Yes. I think your mom came with me. Because I was like, I don't want to go by myself. So his mom came with me. My mother-in-law, love her to death. She came with me to do that. I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, but I want my last name to be Stanton. I was already saying I'm Corinne Stanton. I'm no longer Corinne Den. But my license said otherwise. So it's just, sometimes convenience isn't always the best option, even though it just seems easier. And when everything gets combined and you're able to look at the whole picture in one spot, it's a lot easier than looking at it here and here and here and piecing it together.
Yeah, I mean, once we had everything, and essentially what we're talking about is having both incomes come into one checking account. That's all necessarily what we're talking about here. Once it hits the checking account, how you divvy it up from there, that's on you guys. You can determine that. But it's essential that all income is coming into the one account. Because you guys are, again, together. You're one. So having both incomes coming into that one account in which all expenses, all payments, everything comes out of that one account, that's where it is. Once it hits there, how you guys want to distribute it is on you. That we give you the liberty, or you should take the liberty of doing. Because, again, now You guys know how much is coming in. You guys are talking, communicating at this point, already having gone down and reviewed your budget, and you have your buckets, and you know where everything is going. You're going to start assigning the dollars, at least initially, to this amount, this amount, this amount. Again, that will change. It changes throughout the seasons, but you at least have to know everything is coming into this one account.
Yeah.
And it does make things easier.
Uh-huh.
You alluded to that before.
Yeah, and I do. There were I'll be honest. There were parts of me in the beginning of that where I almost didn't want everything to go to the same account, and that was probably because I was slightly. I knew I was spending a little too much money on like coffee and stuff, and I didn't necessarily want to share that. I didn't want to. That was my thing, and I felt like once I combined it, I had to have those conversations, and that was part of it too. I was like a little bit of shame.
It was shame, guilt.
Yeah, guilt for like that I am spending that money, but it's what I did, and now I'm married, and I have to stop that. But I definitely, the way that I was going about it was not how it's supposed to be. Like, we're supposed to have those conversations. We're married. We are intimate with everything else in our lives. Finances should be one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's a big contention with a lot of couples, right? It's, I feel ashamed. You married this individual. Mm-hmm. If you can't talk to your spouse about finances, something that is intricate and very high on the list, what is the number one cause of divorce in this country?
Finances. Money fights.
Money fights.
Right.
Finances. That is the number one cause.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, it is so low on the totem pole of issues that couples should be worried about. Why? Because this is the person you've decided to spend the rest of your life with. From our Christian background, again, your faith may be different, but if you're a Christian, you're taking this vow with this other person, to death do you part. If I'm saying I'm going to live with this person and be intimate with this person for the rest of my life, how is it that money is the one thing that I can't share?
Yeah.
I can't talk to? I can't speak about without feeling guilt, without feeling shame? No. I'm sorry. That's a big thing. Yeah. And if you have a spouse that is making you feel shame or guilt, that's something that you guys need to work on, or at least talk to someone about, because that should not be. There is a miscommunication in that type of marriage, in my view. Yeah. And it's something that you really should not have. If you're a Christian, again, it's a basic thing. You're spending the rest of your life with this person. You love this person, okay? Love this person. If you can't share your feelings with someone without that guilt or without shame, feeling shame, there's other things, there's other layers there.
Now the problem really isn't financial problem.
Right.
It's a marriage thing, and it's not a make or break. I'm saying, like, you're married, you're
it's
married.
things you have to work through.
But
that's what it is.
Things to communicate about, because those things need to be fixed for you to succeed in all the other goals that you have.
Because there are so many other things out there
that married couples face.
Can destroy marriages. Absolutely can destroy marriages. Mm-hmm. Finances is so low on the totem pole.
Like, as far as like priority.
Yeah. And because it's something that should not come into an effect because you're married. Because you've become one.
And being married doesn't mean you sacrifice things you love to do. That's not what it is at all. No. It's having the conversations of, hey, what do you like to do? What would you like to do as your
I didn't give up bowling. You didn't give up bowling.
I didn't give up bowling.
No, we didn't give up. We didn't give up the things that we enjoyed.
No.
We put them on the table.
Yep.
And said, hey, listen, there are some non-negotiables, mm-hmm. and then there are some things that are negotiable. Now, hopefully your non-negotiables are not things that are, that can like throw a marriage into a tizzy. if they're pretty reasonable things, we everything. First of all, everything is a non-negotiable. That's number one. I shouldn't really even say non-negotiable or negotiable. Everything's a negotiable. I should say everything is negotiable. It's just, listen. These are things that I really, really enjoy and don't want to give up, and these are things that I really, really enjoy and don't want to give up. Now, if something has to give, right? If you don't have that big of a shovel, or you're working in the red and it's causing you to go into debt,
that's a conversation to have.
Right. That's where you have to kind of have that conversation and say, hey, listen, I know that you enjoy this, or I know that we enjoy this, because it could be a group thing.
Actually, I remember we both were on bowling leagues, but you were on a couple. Weren't you on Herald? And then also,
I was doing maybe 2 or 3.
And at some point, we had to be like, okay, which do you really love to do?
If you looked at it, it was like you're spending.
It was hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
So we decided, okay,
maybe 60, depending on how many leagues, $60 to $90 a week.
A week. So if we're both doing it and we're spending that much money, that's a lot of money going out that could go to things towards our goals. So we agreed. And it was, I don't think it was ever really a thing for you to be like, oh, I can't believe I have to give this up for this marriage. Like, I can't believe I have to give this up for our goals. Like,
it's the
when
goals.
You have
it's
it's the
goal.
why.
Yeah.
What is your why? We knew what our why was. We already started having children. We wanted to focus on setting them up for their future. We wanted to focus on, let's get ourselves in a financially stable position so early that we can really enjoy life and not be strapped down by the finances. Yeah. So we had that common goal. We knew our why. And that's what made it easier. The communication and having everything combined made it easier for us to make that decision of, okay, yeah, I'm still going to bowl, but maybe I don't have to bowl in 2 or 3 leagues. Maybe I could just do 1.
Right.
And I don't think you were ever upset about that.
No, again, because you said it's what's your why. So when you start doing this, most people have this idea that that it's an immediate thing, that you should be looking at the immediate. At the ground level, yes, but it's more of a future, right? You got to start thinking long term, and I think that's a lot to do with society.
Culture is now. It live in the now.
Instant gratification.
Fear of
FOMO,
missing out.
Right.
YOLO. You only live once. I hear that all the time. Yes, you only live once. Make it count. Make it count. Don't you want to be less stressed financially? Don't you want to have a better marriage because of the communication and because of the teamwork and things like that? And, the culture is kind of like in a direction of, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to do all that. I don't want someone to limit what I want to do, limit my spending, limit my leisures, limit my whatever. So maybe marriage just isn't for me. Let's just get rid of this. And marriage has also become disposable, I feel. Yeah. So it's important. You're married. You have the same goals.
A lot of Christian families are doing that as well. This isn't necessarily just a...
This is culture. This is today's culture. No
thing.
matter what your faith is.
As Christians, we need to fight against that. We're called not to live of this culture.
Right.
Not to succumb to this culture. We have dominion, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're controlling. And we need to keep that in check, and we need to really, really lean on our Christian faith, on our Bibles, on leaning into Jesus and God, and really understanding that, again, everything is His, and we're here being stewards of it, and that includes finances and includes being married to your spouse. You have a responsibility to the other person. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, God's first, but your spouse is second, and this is something that I will always throw in there because I think it's so good. And you may or may not know where I'm going with this. But when you're married and you have kids.
Oh, I know where this is going.
When you're married and you have kids, okay, as a husband, I'm going to go from the husband perspective first. God, wife, kids. Now, if you'll allow me, I'll go from the wife perspective on how it should go.
Instinctually.
Okay? This is how it should go. Okay? So I just did the husband. Recap. Husband. God first, wife second, kids third. Okay? Now, how it should go for the wife as well. God first, husband second, children third. Okay?
And we really want to to do this, and I did that for a long time. So I get it now. So there's a reason. I want to switch the kids and the husband. So as a mom, instinctually, you want to do everything and anything for your kids. And sometimes your marriage gets pushed to the back burner. When my kids were very young, I will be the first to admit, my priority was my children. That was it. And it took more priority than my marriage, because I was like, oh, he's there. We're married. It's fine. But now what I'm learning is you have to invest in this, because when your kids are older, what do? Well, you don't want them to stay with you till they're 45 years old living in your basement. You want them to go. You grow them up and you raise them to go away. We love you, but go away. Go move, go get married, go do your thing, start your own family, and be a productive unit in the society. However, that's not always the way we feel. We always feel the instinctual nature to that these are my kids. This is my kids. They rely on me. They rely on me. But so does he. So I have more recently understood that biblically, the way we are supposed, our relationships, it's God first, spouse second, children next, because you're supposed to grow up your children for them to go. And when they get married, they are to cleave to their spouse. And now I understand that putting the effort in here is important, because when my kids move out, what happens when I haven't invested in this relationship? Now my kids move and I'm married to a stranger. And
again, the only reason why I bring that up is to emphasize the importance of that oneness, right? We talk about finances, but it goes beyond that, right? It goes beyond that. The financial part of it is, yes, you combine income, but the overcompensing part of that is, hey, listen, you're my wife, you're my spouse. You're the second thing that I think about, right? Literally the second thing I think about on a daily basis. So if I can't talk to you about money that affects both of us, there's a problem. There's an issue there.
And it can be fixed.
And that's the thing.
It's not.
It can be fixed.
That's a choice.
Whether it's honestly going for counseling, or going and connecting with your pastor or your priest at church,
or hang out with a married couple that has really strong communication.
I mean, there are so many fixes out there, and I think that culturally they kind of throw that to the wayside. Like, that's a waste. Like, that's an insignificant type of thing. Don't worry about that. No.
It's important.
It's important. It's extremely important. And it's, again, that low totem pole thing on a list of problems that has grown to this point where it is the number one cause of divorce. I know I've said it already, but I can't get over this idea that finances, of all things.
Right. Not even in-laws, not even all the other things, not even adultery at that point.
Children. The idea of
big
kids.
Stress of children. And
no, it's divorce. Financially, it's finances. But that isn't to say that all those other things
are unimportant
or
don't affect.
Or don't affect it. Right.
Right.
You know, having extra kids brings in the financial question, right? But again, it brings finances into question, meaning you're talking about it. You're still talking and communicating about it, right? Because if you're not, then it's never an issue. Then now you're going to start putting that blame onto kids if you're not discussing your finances. Like, they're the problem. No, that isn't the problem.
Right.
Having the kids, that's a blessing. Having children is a blessing.
Right.
What's the problem is that you guys didn't communicate about the finances.
Right.
Right? You got to communicate about the finances.
But you can choose that at any time.
Right.
So if it's not something that
if you haven't started doing that, use this podcast as a what is that, a linchpin or a landing point or starting conversation. Send it to your spouse and say, hey, listen, I think we need to start talking about this.
And it doesn't have to be you jump into doing a budget right away. Let's talk about finances. What do you have any fears when it comes to our finances? What are your goals for our future? How do you feel like we are right now financially?
Yeah, and if you, I mean, I find this really hard that you don't have these conversations before you get married. But I know that there are people out there that do that. They don't necessarily have these conversations prior to getting married. Right. But if you haven't, don't worry. There's still time. Have these conversations. if you want to schedule a clarity call with us to help you, just to kind of align, see where your alignment is with money, strategy, and your finances, let's talk about it.
And it's free of cost.
It's a free call.
There's no cost to you. So what are you losing? Just to get on a phone call together and just answer questions about your values with money and your plans with money and your goals and all those things, just to see where you're at. It's to evaluate where you guys are at, and that's really it.
I mean, it really is something that I'm so surprised. It rocks me every time I hear that or I think about it on couples that
are just separate.
Everything is separate.
Yeah, very separate.
I don't understand it. It gets to me.
My question
I can't comprehend it.
Is now what happens if you're separate, right? You're taking care of the mortgage. I'm taking care of the cell phone bill and the utility, things like that.
Okay.
Now what happens when you're short or I'm short? Do the other spouse feel like I've got to bail you out because you don't have enough to do yours? Like that becomes that's like a roommate situation, or like that's not a marriage.
Like
that's,
you owe me or I owe you.
Right. So look,
what does that
mean? I take $300? I'm short
can
on
I
some
borrow?
utilities.
Can I
borrow from my spouse? That's not the way we were ever intended to work as a marriage.
No.
And I promise, if your finances are not together and you put them together, you will see the change. And it's difficult if you have a problem or if you're hiding something, but that also needs to come out to your spouse. Your spouse is the person you should be able to talk to everything
Again,
about.
It's not finances that's the problem there. It's something else.
It's something else.
There's an underlying issue there.
And if someone doesn't want to share their finances with you and you're married, what is it? What's there? What's the problem?
There's always hope.
Of course.
There's always hope. It's just that you got. I mean, you know, Christ was the light of the world, and the light of the world heals everything, right? Mm-hmm. Light brings everything to pasture, to knowledge, and to vision, and you can see everything, but you got to have the light, and you got to talk about it. So, next step after you write everything down, next action step is really start combining the finances. Mm-hmm. And if you're not comfortable combining finances, you got to have those conversations. Yeah. Because ultimately, combining the finances is the best optimal way to do this. Can it be done otherwise? Yes. Money is money, numbers are numbers. But as a faith-based couple, you should have your finances combined. That means one checking account. All income is going into one account. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you guys determine how the money is divvied up. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I feel on that. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same since we've done it. And it's worked for us. Yeah. And it has alleviated any type of argument pertaining to that aspect of the finances. Mm-hmm. I don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. You don't have to borrow from me.
It doesn't matter if one of us makes more money.
No.
And one of us, I, for the last 18 months, have stayed home.
Yeah.
With our children. Yeah. But never did I ever feel like I was just like another kid living, like another dependent. No. Because we do this together, regardless of if the check is in his name.
No one should feel that way. No spouse should feel that way.
No.
Whether it's the husband or the wife.
Right.
It should not be that way. Not at all.
And it should be a pleasure to provide for your family.
Yeah.
Right? That's huge.
So, all right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you. And again, if you want to schedule a clarity call with us, the link will be in the description below. If you like this type of content and you find us helpful and you find some value in this, like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Have a great day.